Next on our show, we welcome art professor and now book author of Jesus Has Two Daddies, Tom McMillen-Oakley. Hi, Tom.
Hey, how are you, Bart?
Good to see you. Welcome to the show. As you said on your Facebook page earlier today, you're no stranger to JTV.
No, since I've been at JCC, I've been on here. So it's been 12 years since I've been at JCC. So it's been a long history. And the picture of Anna, she was on the green couches over there, and she just looked like a little sack of potatoes sitting. I think Claudia and I figured it out. She was maybe 6 months old during that pic. So brought back a lot of memories.
And how old is Anna now?
7.5.
Oh my gosh.
Going on 16. 17.
And since then, Anna's been joined, your family's been joined by
Eli.
Eli. And how old is Eli?
Eli is 4.5. So, and he's a preschooler out at ABC. He rides to JCC with me every day, and we go back to ABC, drop him off, and he's in the Great Start program, and it's a really good thing. So, they're great kids. Sometimes they make me crazy. I didn't have all this gray hair when I started being a parent, but it's come around since they've been here. Maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know.
Well, the book that you just wrote, Jesus Has Two Daddies. The two daddies are you and your husband,
right?
And Todd and Eli and Anna. You wrote the book because of them,
right? Well, back when we were starting the whole process of adoption, we were going to church at Trinity United Methodist, and at the time, B. Robinson was the minister, and there we are, and she was trying to get the kids ready for us bringing Anna into the church fold, and she had a really, to me, I thought, a very interesting children's sermon. And it was, Anna was born in middle November, so we were getting ready for Advent and all that stuff. And the kids were studying what was going on with Christmas and how Jesus came to be. And she shared the whole story that, God had this son that he couldn't take care of. So he contacted Joseph and had him help raise him. And she made the analogy that just like with Anna's birth mom, she could not take care of Anna at the time, so her mom picked Todd and I to raise her. So she said, in a sense, just like Anna, Jesus had two daddies as well. And that was kind of a mind-blowing thing for me, and I thought that she summed it up really nicely for the kids in the congregation, and they're very welcoming. So some people are not real thrilled with the title, but it is what it is. And I thought that the way she was able to make that correlation, that families are all different. And if you were to say every kid has a mom and dad, well, they might. They have a birth mom and they have a birth dad, but so many kids live with family members because of divorce, death, and Jackson, and maybe they're in prison. There's a lot of different ways kids are being raised. So I think the June and Ward Cleaver model has kind of gone out the door over the past couple decades. And I think it was really great that Pastor Robinson acknowledged that. So, but the book came to be because when we started the process about 9 years ago, there was very little for two guys starting a family. There's a lot of stuff out there about two women, which I won't go into detail now, but there's a lot of books out there that detail what you have to do to make that happen. And we did not have a lot of the options that were presented. So since I worked at JCC, we looked up some of the books, and the librarian, she actually had a stack of books about this tall on her desk, and she held them for me, and she came out because she wanted to know who this person was who was requesting all these kind of strange and esoteric books. And I actually mentioned her in the book because her name is Marion, the librarian, and I thought that it was so cool that we had Marion the librarian at JCC. But she said, I just have to come and meet you because this is the most bizarre collection of books I've ever seen. But the number of books that were helpful to us were very limited. Dan Savage's book, The Kid, and a few others that dealt with male couples starting a family were the best. And when Anna came into our lives back in 2005, I started writing all this down and taking notes. And my blog, JesusHasTwoDaddies.com, kind of came from that. And then the book came after I did a talk at U of M at the School of Social Work. I think they mentioned this in the paper. The lady who was facilitating my discussion with the students said, "You should write a book." And I said, "I've got a kid. I don't have time to do this." And she said, "Well, you have an outline right here." She goes, "There's your book." She goes, "You just have to fill in the blanks now." Well, filling in the blanks took about 7 years to do, but the book finally came to be last year. It's been quite an adventure with that. Publishing is a whole different thing. When you put on an art show, you're usually the person in control. You work with the gallery. But with publishing, there's a lot more people involved. And we were actually supposed to have a book signing this week, but the printer, who apparently is using Gutenberg's press, is taking some time to get the books printed. They're not going to be here in time for the signing. So we're going to postpone that. And once we get the books, and they'll be for sale at I've Been Framed, we'll have another event. So it's been kind of a stressful week trying to get all that to work.
Well, I read your book, and it's very personal.
Yes.
And it's more than just the story of how you and Todd came to be parents. Why did you decide to really almost present a biography of your life together?
Well, if we were to have started the story right when that happened, I don't think people would have understood what was going on. So I think having the backstory of what it was like growing up, especially in my generation, in going to high school in the 80s, where we didn't have gay-straight alliances, we didn't have the It Gets Better project, we didn't have shows like Glee on TV. We were told, if you were gay, you were going to be, single and not have a family, and you were going to die alone. You couldn't get married, you couldn't have kids, and that was a real hard thing to take. And I think it's important for people to understand what it was like growing up in that era. I have friends who are a generation beyond, and they have no concept of this, and they're like, "Oh no, kids aren't in my on my radar at all." But I think with the new generation of kids that are coming around, the kids who are watching Glee and some of the other shows that are a little bit more supportive of this, I think the possibility of having a family and having kids is out there. So that personal element I thought was really important, because it's not just about the kid, which it is. It's about how we came to be.
You talk about some of the reactions that you've had, not just in adopting Anna and Eli, but in your life.
Right.
What has been the most challenging?
The one that people think that when they see us and maybe some of our other friends who have kids, they assume that we're just giving the moms the night off, that we're just a bunch of great dads and we should be, we're out giving our wives the night off, and we just nod and go about our business. But one night in Marshall, this table of ladies across from us was just, "Oh, you guys are the best husbands ever." And we kept going, smiling and nodding. And finally, the one lady, as we were leaving, she goes, "Your wife should be very happy." And I said, "Well, I don't have a wife." I said, "I have a husband, and he's up there with our kids, so I need to go." And her eyes got like this big. And I think people's perception of, who's able to parent, who can parent, sometimes that can be a frustration as well. Is, can you really take care of this little girl? Or, can you do her hair? Can you get her dressed in the morning and stuff like that? So people's perception that, the mom is the primary caretaker. Sometimes that's the case, but when you have two dads, we share the responsibility. So people's perceptions, that's what I think is a big challenge for us.
Did you have a lot of trouble going through the process? Did you legally? There were, I know, issues in the state of Michigan,
right,
for the two of you to be able to adopt.
Right. Well, when we first started this process, that was the election cycle of 2004, and a lot of the political landscape was very anti-gay. There were a lot of marriage amendments on the line. A lot of politicians who were, how do I say, driven by this whole gay marriage thing, and used the fear of us taking over the world. Apparently, I don't know. They use that as kind of a marketing tool for their campaigns. And Prop 2, or is it 4? I can't remember. Whatever it is here in Michigan that says the gay marriages aren't allowed, was what we were up against when we started the whole process. And we worked with a company out of West Bloomfield here in Michigan, Adoption Options Worldwide, and they said these kids need a home, and they worked with us and they made it happen. So regardless of the climate of the state, this company was willing to work with us and helped us get the whole process going. So,
well, reading about the history of the children before you had Anna, before you had Eli,
right?
It sounds like they were disadvantaged. They would have been disadvantaged if they had stayed in their with their birth parents.
Right. Well, with Anna, her mom was 15, and that was a big issue. Still in school, and actually her mom was raised by 2 women, and I think that came into play with Anna's mom picking us to raise her daughter. So to a 15-year-old who's still in high school, raising a kid, and the grandmothers at this point, they're like, no, we've already raised you, we're done, So that's when the process started. And Eli came to us from foster care, and the situation there is outlined in the book, and it was not pretty. And his foster parents, we are still in contact with them. They are amazing people. We see them on a regular basis, and he's like SpongeBob. When he gets excited, his feet turn into rockets and he blows up into the sky. When Eli sees his foster mom, he just lights up. And so he has a good relationship with her. We do not have contact with his parents, and it's it's a different thing. We do have contact with Anna's mom though. So it is kind of a bizarre little kind of Baroque situation with us, but they look at us as their daddy and papa, and they know Anna has a mom, and she knows that, and she's aware of that, and that's what matters. People love them, and that's what counts.
You have a lot. I could tell you have a lot of support with your friends, and it looks like your families, your parents and Todd's parents have been very supportive.
Right, and that's been a change that has come around. It didn't just happen. We had to work with this. We instituted, I should say, don't ask, don't tell with the parents. We said, we're going to do this, but we will let you know as the process goes where we're at, because adoption can be very frustrating. There's a lot of dead ends, and a lot of people kind of drop out of the process because it can be very, very depressing. But ultimately, when it happens, you just forget all that stuff, and it's amazing.
Well, like your story about the incident in Marshall, you and Todd have had to develop thick skin.
Right.
What about the kids? What kind of issues do Anna, especially being older, have? It's
amazing what comes home from being on the school bus every day. I may look like a sailor, but I do not talk like a sailor at home. And some of the words that have come out of her mouth have just been shocking. And I heard that on the bus, and it's like, oh my goodness, And there have been some moments, but Anna knows how to handle it. She's a strong little girl, and she's able to, just kind of brush it off and move on. And with Eli, he doesn't care. He's a very he's a pretty happy kid. So as they get older, I don't know how that's going to change. I think it's easier sometimes for girls. Go back to Glee, Rachel, she has the 2 dads. That's a cool thing. Mm-hmm. But for a boy to have 2 dads, that can be perceived as, like a playground taunt or something like that. So we'll just wait and see how that comes around, and we'll deal with it when it happens.
And you're looking forward to having a book signing, and then the book be available. It's not yet available for purchase?
Well, you can pre-order it on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Just look up Jesus Has Two Daddies. You can pre-order the actual book, those things you open up, and people have forgotten what those are.
The hard copies.
Right. You can also get the Kindle version, and you get immediate download. And a lot of my friends have done that. I actually had somebody in Egypt who messaged me. He bought 15 copies of the book on Kindle, and he gave them away as Christmas presents because he wanted his friends to see what was going on with this. And I thought, I didn't even know this guy, and I just thought that was a really cool thing. So, but you can find them on Barnes and Nobles or Amazon, and eventually they will be for sale at I've Been Framed. So when they get here, whenever the monks are done writing the books up, we'll have them here. So.
Great. Well, thanks for coming in. Good luck with the book.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Glad to be back.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Author of Jesus Has Two Daddies, Tom McMillen-Oakley.
Thank you.